Tim. Welcome to Tim's Time. I'm sitting here in our sanctuary or worship center, whatever you want to call it. I'm sitting here in front of the pulpit, and I'm holding up my BlackBerry just to tell you sort of what we spent the last couple hours doing. Alan Centralites, you will know, maybe not everyone who's watching, my associate and good friend, has been helping me use technology to actually fill in for me when I'm going to be gone. I couldn't really find anyone that I wanted to speak about a particular subject on the Sunday I was going to be gone, and just in a brainstorming session we thought, why don't we use technology to do it? Which is the subject of my Tim's Time. Technology is great, except when it's not. And sometimes I think I get labeled as I'm not in favor of technology because I still use the old BlackBerry instead of an iPhone 46 or whatever the latest model is. The truth of the matter is my world couldn't function without technology, and I think it's fantastic. There are just some things that sometimes when I think it's a hindrance, it keeps us in response mode occasionally instead of proactive mode, and at other times it enables people to interrupt us when we necessarily need to be interrupted. Tim, what does that have to do with prayer and our week? Just this. I'm holding up this BlackBerry because I want to tell you that there are times when I don't let anyone interrupt me. If you call and you try to reach me and I don't take your call, leave a voicemail, especially if it's an emergency because I want to take your call. But sometimes I just have to be inaccessible, except with a few select folks. But when my kids call, unless I just am providentially hindered, I take their call. When my bride calls, I take her call and I answer the phone. They're just that important to me. There's this verse in Revelation where it talks about all the praise and stuff going on around the throne of glory, and then the text is interrupted where it says, but there was silence in heaven for half an hour, because the angels were burning the incense of the prayers of the saints. I think God inhabits the praise of heaven. God hears all the wonderful angelic music. God's sovereign enough to be everywhere at all times, but when His children pray, that takes priority. For the last couple of weeks, we talked about 432 and a regular time of prayer. Then last week, we talked about D-Day prayers. Remember Union Station on June 6, 1944, and crying out to God in emergencies. But the Bible also talks about praying without ceasing. And what I think that means is having an open line of communication between you and between your Father, so that when you need Him, you know He's there and He's going to answer. But that works two ways. When He needs you and He wants to prompt you into doing something unusual, or He wants to show you someone, He has access to your life. If we had time, and we don't, we're getting ready to close Tim's Time for today. But if we had time, I could read you story after story after story of crazy things from an earthly perspective that have taken place when God's people in prayer have just listened to His voice, responded to it, and He's done the unimaginable. Some of them are really, really out there. Now, I don't have any really out there things, but I have some stories from my own walk and my own life where I just felt like God prompted me to do this, to call that person, to give to that person, or to go somewhere, and God's used it and connected the dots in a way that I would step back and say, that must have been Him. That's praying without ceasing. That's living a life of openness to your Heavenly Father. He knows how to communicate with you, and He's willing, if you're willing to listen and you're willing to obey. And so we're setting out in prayer. There are times when we have D-Day prayers. There are times when we have our regular established prayer. But this week, why not? In fact, I dare you to pray, Father, prompt me to do something great for you this week. Have a fantastic week.